Hey, this is S36, S37 simulator presentation. We first select the master index and we have the main menu. We have first tab is services. Once we select services, we have different options. So you guys can see external power, ground air conditioned air. The ones that are gray out is because the selector and or push buttons are not active. I press the history to go back to the main master. I have now reposition. In the reposition I have airport reference, runway, arrival airport. If I press this one, I do have different options for airwork repositions. They're gray out because I have the engines shut down. I'm going to press the history. I have aircraft weights, and I have the option to select the zero fuel weight, total fuel, gross weight, CG, zero fuel weight, gross weight, CG, and the fuel. I also have preset settings for the weights. And lastly, I can balance the fuel if I want to. Next tab is environment. In the environment I have different options. I have period of the day. I can select the wind and the intensity, the gust, the temperature, the QNH, QFE. We have the visibility, the fog. Again, these two are gray out because I need to select the fog for them to be selected. I do have the option of visual category, preset visuals. As you guys can see here, we have from Kabok all the way to 00 visibility. This is the button for the storm selection. This is where I select, and later on I'll give you a detailed briefing on how to select the storm. I'm going to close it. I'm going to go back to the main index. This is the environment. I press history and I go back to the master index. I'm going to press flight plan, and this is where I can save flight plans. There is the main page to save, which is to load it here, which is called the volatile flight plan, and I can also press temporary flight plan and save. So there are two ways to save the flight plan. I'm going to press this option to show you another way to go to the master index. So we have covered services, reposition, aircraft weights, environment, flight plan. The next element on the master index is control. And here we have freeze and resets. As you guys can see, you have from master reset, environment reset, all system resets, all temperature reset, malfunctions, fail stations, and circuit breakers. You do have the option, and I'll show you later on, to reset individual systems. One that usually we have to reset normally, it depends, is the fire agent by itself. You also have system reset, and we have the flight control computers, FMS, DMC, enhanced GPWS. And again, sometimes when you have a flag on the ICEs, the only way to get it back is to reset the ICEs. I'm going to press the master index to go back. So we cover again control. The next item is pushback. In here you have position control. You can select the nose steering, nose left, straight, and nose right. I'm going to press the history. Back to the master index. You can also have slew options, and we'll give you a different presentation on how to use the slew. I'm going to go history, which is same previous page. Select communications. Here you can see the frequencies. If it shows red, that indicates that the airport does not have this frequency that is selected. You have on the bottom the mechanic, the purser, emergency call. You can actually have the option to speak to directly only through crew member 1 and or crew member 2 or crew member 3. This is the page where we select the radio chatter, and we'll explain this later on how to use it. You also have the cockpit door locking system on the bottom. Again, all of this is on the communications tab. Press history. The next element under control, we have ATIS. Right now it's indicating the current ATIS in Lyon. I can change the letter and I can modify the blue items in this page. I can actually also select it ATIS override. If I tap it, now I'm allowed to change the weather from the ATIS page. Press history. The last tab under control is called radio stations. In here, as you guys can see, you can select the identifier to be failed. You have the navaids, the NDB navaids, airway marker, ILS. You can actually select the runway and airport, the ILS, GLS, the COM. Later on, I'll show you how to fail the glide slope and the localizer on this page. As we go back to the master index, we have on the bottom under control, we have display units. In here, I can change the indication of my iOS, not the simulator, but the iOS from metric to US. Continue under control, we have the TCAS tab, and you guys can see we have the TCAS page, editable scenarios, random traffic, airport traffic, and ITP. We'll have a different presentation explaining how to use this page. Going back to the master index, we have airport traffic, and this is where you can select aircraft taken off and landing in the selected airport, and we'll have a presentation on how to use this page. Going back, we have the snapshot. Again, all of this is under control, and you do have the option to create a snapshot, and there will be a presentation on how to use the snapshot page. The last one is called lesson plan. In this case, if we had pre-selected lesson plans, they will be available on this menu. You can see that we can install a USB drive and install lesson. In this case, today Airbus doesn't have it available on our simulator. Following on the master index, we have status, flight conditions, and this is a general description of what the current conditions is of the simulator. Following on the status, we have crash conditions. If you do, you can actually determine crashing inhibit, what are the elements, and or reset advisory. If you do get a tail strike, all the different elements are here. We have the CNI, and this basically gives you an information of the last elements that were controls not in agreement, as you guys can see. In this case, you show an engine 1 fire handle, required normal. The current indication is saying it was pulled. Malfunction, it will reflect any malfunctions that you had selected, and you can, they're gray out because there is no selections, but you can actually clear all malfunctions, restore, reset circuit breakers, and you can sort the failures. Next, on the status of the simulator, we have the motion interlocks. This just gives you an overall summary of the status of the motion of the simulator. As you guys can see right now, the current indications showing the drawbridge is down, fuselage gate is open, the fuselage door is open. The last one is sim message lock. In this case, it's not active. That's why we don't have anything displayed. Going back to the master index, miscellaneous, maintenance. In here, we'll need to have the password to have access to the maintenance page. This is where maintenance puts the password to do FMS load changes, company databases. It's one of the options that they have to enter here. When I press cancel, you do have on S36, S37, the instructor reference manual. If I press it, I have the iOS manual available for my reference. If I press it here, you can see it will give me a description of some of the elements that we just discussed. I press emergency procedures, it will give me a briefing on how to operate the simulator safely. I'm going to press exit. The last tab that we have is iOS devices and tools, and here you have, again, you can see the tab simulator control. You have different tabs on top that you can use. Items that we can look into it, again, display units. Again, it changes from US to metric. You can see on top that the right now is in metric. If I press US, it's showing in statute miles. I do have the capacity to activate the flight freeze on the 8 push button on the cockpit. If I need to sit in front of the simulator with the trainee, I can freeze the sim by pressing the 8 push button. And I can also select the event alert region. So I'm going to go back here, and this is pretty much a quick summary of the master index in S36 and S37.